Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello there, it's Dr. Gemma. Welcome to episode 156, fittingly named Welcome Home Again. I know, it's going to be about the Cognitive Fiber Retreat, but it's going to be about other things too. I want to make clear that I appreciate the patience of the non-attendees who've had to listen to this for months. Nonetheless, there is some news all the way across the board. So, first of all, it is Thursday night, November 16th, 2023, because I had to process for days before I could even talk about CFR 23. It was so eventful, I'm kind of blown away by it. So thank you for your patience. And in the warm thanks department, of course, everybody, including the listeners who did not attend, thank you for your support for Cognitive Fiber Retreat 2023. It is still appearing on my social media as hashtag CFR23. And I'm publishing pictures. I'm trying to do at least 3 a day. I've got a lot of them. I've been stealing a lot from our own Knit One Pug 2, Krista, I believe, who took some great ones. If you are not following me on social media, you can contact me through Ravelry. Tell me your name on social media, and I'll let you follow me. Let me know who you are, though. I don't take people blind on social media unless I see that other people I know are following them. Nevertheless, there is an advantage to having my listeners be able to follow me. I want to really thank all the people who taught for us, or maybe I should say both the people who taught for us, but a lot of people taught a lot of other people, because that's kind of the way CFR works. So first of all, I want to thank Jasmine and Gigi, who really held up the Steeking class. I want to thank Steffi Joe, who did the background work in so many ways and then couldn't come. And then Peachy, who showed up and did come. Now, the interesting thing was we had 2 major groups. I would call them cliques, except they were not cliquish. But instead, these 2 major groups just showed up and gave me so much support. One was the Greater Los Angeles Spinning Guild, that a whole bunch of them came, and it's like they just made a group decision. If you did, you're probably laughing right now, Stacy and Peachy, and Steffi Joe, in fact. But it was like they just made this decision that we're going to support Dr. Gemma, we're going to make this happen. They were amazing. The other group that was amazing were the Orange County Fiberistas. This is Izzy and his gang. And Ariane, Suzanne, alias Shazam, turns out to be a representative for Chalgu. I didn't realize this. So Suzanne, if you're listening, we want you back next year, and we want to give you a platform to talk about it. If I had known that you were bringing that to us, I would have just made you have a half hour to an hour space to do your song and dance. That's something I kind of regret. Yeah, I have a few regrets about CFR 23, but mostly it was amazing. I mean, you just can't do everything you need to do if you're running this particular show. But anyway, thank you so much to the OC Fiberistas, including Izzy, Ariane, and Suzanne. Thank you to Jasmine and Gigi, the Knitmore girls. Thank you to the Greater Los Angeles Spinning Guild, including Steffi Joe and Peachy. Thank you to, of course, Dr. Smidgen, Peachy's younger sister, Dr. Jin, who says I'm one of the reasons she became a psychologist, which I just want to lie down and die. I get so proud. Okay, because Smidge is probably better at the job than I am. And she is the professional's professional. I just worship the water she walks on. And I helped to make her. Okay, I'm going to get over this now. Going through the warm thanks here. You may notice that I have a picture of my beautiful octopus mug. If you would like my beautiful octopus mug, which says "Seize the Day" inside the cup at the very top, I have given you the link under the picture. Why do I have the octopus mug there? Because I bought one and I took it with me. I wanted to make a cognitive mug and I totally forgot until like 2 days before CFR. And I said, okay, I could go to Zazzle and make this happen. And then in my feed, this wonderful mug appeared. And I don't even like black and white as a motif. I bought the mug because I thought it was so funny that it had this wonderful octopus and then said, "Seize the Day." Why? Because the octopus is a really interesting animal. It runs on a very different internal metabolism than all of us mammals, and it seems to be highly intelligent and generally pretty nice. And so I have to say, having an octopus use a cognitive behavioral phrase like "seize the day," well, that was just too wonderful. So I thought if ever there was a CFR mug that I did not design, it was this one. So if you would like a "Seize the Day" mug, the link is right under the picture in the show notes. The show notes are at cognitivepodcast.blogspot.com. Don't forget the K in cognitive, right before the word knit. Or they're on our group on Ravelry. Now, I'm also going to spell out, there is a new link for the Cognitive Fiber Retreat 2024. Yes, 2024. All the info is right here. Here is a link. It is the info thread on our Ravelry group. We are now talking about 2024. It's a very active, interesting thread. I need to go add to it because I've had some more thoughts. I really am interested in ideas. We won't use everybody's ideas, but please go over there and do that and look at it. Please be aware that if you or any of your friends want to come to 2024, which we're, I think, thanks to Loretta 1031, we will be calling, oh, that's a whole other wonderful story you'll hear in the blather. We will be calling it CFR 10 because it will be our 10th. And that's just got a nicer ring than CFR 2024 or CFR 24. And as Loretta put it, CFR 10 because we're doing it again. Loretta has a way of giving me these little catchphrases that work much better than anything that comes out of my pointed little head. All the vendors want to come back. You can see a picture in the show notes of the insanely beautiful show colorways. I mean, insanely beautiful. All three of our designers went overboard on this. I've been carrying the yarn in the colorway already for months from Dizzy Blondes, but now I'm carrying Oink and Laser Sheep's 2023 colorways. I just think they're so beautiful and they're great. Everybody was kind of blue themed, which I love. I did not ask Lisa Souza to do a show colorway. I'm wondering if I should. Believe it or not, all three of the vendors want to come next year. So we will have Lisa Souza, Oink Pigments, and Laser Sheep back. The date for CFR 2024, September 28th. Why so early? Too many holidays, too many other competing yarny events. I am hoping for, I can't believe I'm saying this, for CFR 2025, I'm hoping that we'll move it into October. But Yom Kippur was right where I would have put it, and gotta respect the holidays. We're an equal opportunity love fest. Meanwhile, you can go to those vendors and you can order the show colorways. I'm pretty sure they'll have extra. These are in fingering weight, but I also suspect they might be in DK. Ask them. What's on my hooks and needles? Well, the Abyss sock yarn cows. You may remember I did 2 of them, and I just kept adding to them. So they're finished yet again. And there's a picture of a lot of my stash of minis next to one of them, next to my trusty sewing machine. There's 2 pictures of me strangling myself, because you can see I made them very big. Now, the interesting thing, the bigger you make them, the tighter they get. And that's not surprising. So the original cast on, I believe, was 167. Then I went to 177. Well, I've just cast on the 3rd. It's now at 187. Because I like them very wide and tall. But when you do that, you need a bigger cast on. This would also make a great single loop cowl. But I like the double loop cowl because when you're too warm, you can just unloop it and have it hanging down your dress. And I also like it in multicolors. I have to say, at the retreat, To my surprise, I had suggested we do a crochet along. Everybody did. It was very funny. I didn't realize people were taking me seriously till Saturday evening. I come out to the lobby after dinner and I'm just wiped out. And I bring out one of the cows and a lot of the mini skeins. And I sit down and I start crocheting. And that's where I look up and realize there's about 20 people around me and they're all crocheting one. This was one of the great successes. This is the Abyss Sock Yarn Cow. The link is in the show notes. And I really love it. In fact, it's become like an addiction. So I'm on my third one. I'm just thinking it's a great way to use up the little yarn scraps that will not go into my scrappy socks because I use them to make an inch stripe, at least so far. I'm planning to try a helix pattern, but that will come later. At any rate, when I have a little bit that won't do that, it will certainly go around one round of the Abyss sock yarn. Sometimes it won't go that far, and I just join another color close to it into the row. But this is an extraordinarily great way to use up your sock yarn little tiny bits. And I'm thinking these are going to go to a shelter that we have down in Santa Clarita. Meanwhile, the stash toss is now officially a disaster. Okay, it's not. But every day I am taking out at least one colorway or one skein of a yarn I got at CFR and adding it. So unfortunately, now on the inside, we're up to 28 skeins. And I haven't touched that bunch that Gigi gave me that's basically a sweater's worth in, I think it's Jaeger, and it looks like an ultrafine merino in navy. Not to mention getting the skeins of the show yarns, not to mention getting a sweater's worth from Lisa Souza. Thank goodness she has a really big put up, like 500 yards, because that meant I only needed 4 skeins, because I go on the stash toss, I go by the number of skeins. And oh my gosh, Danny Mack gave me this insanely beautiful 2 skeins that are alpaca mixes. One looks like it's like a bulky, the other looks Aran to worsted weight. And they are going to go into the Romuald sweater that is coming up. I was worried I didn't have enough single skeins to make a Romuald sweater this year. I'm so crazy. Of course I do. I've got a lot of them. So hopefully I'm thinking at Thanksgiving, or else when I'm working on those days off for the evolution of psychotherapy, I'm hoping I will go through my stash and start sorting out a Romuald sweater. It is really important to me to do one of these scrap sweaters every year because it burns out the single skeins that come from things like spinning or just leftovers. And again, it's a really nice way to use up scraps. All of my Romuald sweaters have been mind-blowingly beautiful. It's hard to get it wrong, and I really encourage people to do this kind of thing. It's such a fun thing to do, apart from your, more rigidly, shall we say, patterned sweaters. Mind you, I'm loving my patterned sweaters. So, in the meantime, I started a new pair of socks with the yarn minis from Cutiful Yarns, donated to CFR by Cutiful Christina. Now, I have to tell you something. Something weird happened here. This was the CFR of karmic payback, I swear to you. So, I get this big box of yarns from Cutiful Christina, whatever you want to call it. And I open it, and they're fabulous. I mean, they're stunning. Okay. Right on the top, there is this heart-rendingly beautiful blackish green. It looks like an over dye of green over black. Oh my God, it's called Deep Forest. It's so pretty. I went nuts over it. I went through the whole box. There were 4 of them. I put them in the cardboard box of Doomy Doom Doom and said, nobody will notice if these aren't there. We don't have 50 people coming. This is how much I love this color. So I put it in the cardboard box of Doomy Doom Doom, and there it sat for about 2 weeks. Then my guilt overwhelmed me. I put it back into the box that we're going to the fiber retreat. So that's really nice. You can probably see where this was going to go. And when we got to the mini skein trade, I started chasing down people who had the Deep Forest. And I thought, I need at least 3 of them to make a pair of socks. Trade, diddy, trade, 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 trade. Meanwhile, I really didn't take a goodie bag till the very end. And I was a little worried that all the goodie bags that we were going to give out had been given out. We had a bunch more. And I believe we raffled them off Saturday afternoon. So we got rid of all the goodie bags. All right, after the first round of goodie bags had been distributed, before we raffled off the remainder, I realized I hadn't gotten a goodie bag. So I grabbed one without looking. I just grabbed one. And I thought, oh no, because some of them were missing an item or two, I think. I'd have to ask my goodie bag elves. But anyway, I thought, well, okay. I brought it home. I didn't look at it. And then I thought, oh my gosh, what if I grabbed one that does not have one of the Cutieful yarn samples? I could not bear to think about it. I just took the bag home without looking. And I thought, too bad, because in the yarn trade, I didn't quite get enough to make a pair of socks. I get home, put the yarn on the floor, and I just say, like, I'm so done with CFR, I need to stop. Monday morning I get up and I say, man up. You got to start taking pictures of stuff. You got to start cataloging the yarn you got, blah, blah, blah. I reach into the goodie bag. I have a skein of yarn from Cutieful. I'm so relieved. I pull it out. Deep Forest. Gave me enough to make socks. I mean, I seriously just sat in my command chair here staring at it, saying, how could I randomly have gotten the last skein of this? And I did. Karma! I guess if you organize a fiber retreat, the gods are on your side. And so you will see that I cast on some blueberry waffle socks using the Deep Forest. I'm a good halfway or more down the first leg. When I do blueberry waffles, it's a 4-row repeat. You've heard me talk about them before, and the link is in the show notes. Basically, after you do your ribbing, I always do 2 inches of 1 by 1. It becomes a 4-row pattern. First 2 rows are stockinette, second 2 rows are knit 2, purl 2. And it's just organized rows, and it lines up beautifully. One of these days, I will stagger the knit 2, purl 2 rows just to see what other combinations you get. But I have never been less than wildly satisfied with a pair of the blueberry waffles. I use them for any time I get a solid color or, a semi-solid. It looks really, really good. You give a little pattern to the semi-solid. These socks are no exception. They're strikingly beautiful. Thank you so much, Chris. And I cannot tell you how weirded out I am that I ended up with a sock's worth of mini skeins of this. And they are all back in the cardboard box of Doomy Doom Doom. Those of you who believe in it, maybe it was practical magic. I don't know. But every time I look at that box, I feel wonderful. The Superstition sweater, you'd think I'd have finished that by now. Nope, I'm on Sleeve Island. I'm on the first sleeve. I'm not even to the elbow. I thought I would get some done. I didn't even touch it over the weekend. I really was just focusing on the crocheted cowls and on having a really wild time. The Pennsylvania Dutch embroidery, also have not touched it. Thought I'd be taking that with me. Didn't even look at it. I did notice in the goodie bag, though, I did have some nice thing from Etsy people who do embroidery, including a needle threader. My goodie bag, I'm pulling one thing out every day, sometimes 2, depending on what I pull, and just taking pictures of it. So you can see that on my feed. I can't remember who did a really good picture of the entire bag, just laid it out on display neatly. And I have that picture somewhere. I'll probably post it on my Instagram and my Facebook. Dizzy Blondes. Thank you, Knit One Pug 2. Sustainable Living and I decided to unload our electric eel wheels. I actually had a Nano. She had the full-size eel wheel. First of all, by the time we did this, I was exhausted. And she was so generous. She said, no, you don't have to show me. You're so tired. Fortunately, Knit One Pug 2 showed up because I was so tired I couldn't even remember how a spinning wheel worked, if you can believe this. And of course, once Krista got us going, everything went beautifully. My new Nano is working terrifically. And what did I spin? While I had Minerva with me, that is Minerva's fur, the wonderful, wonderful Danny Mac walks up and hands me, as I said, 2 skeins of this fabulous silvery alpaca blend yarn, big generous skeins from her herd that she used to have, and a beautiful, beautiful pile of fluff. And so you betcha, a big, big top of this stuff. So I started spinning the insanely beautiful alpaca mix. So Minerva's fur sits in a plastic bag at my feet. Now what will happen to it? I will pull out my pet combs, and I will comb it, and I will probably blend it a bit with that alpaca mix fluff from Danny. I believe she said there were other things in it, and I'm too tired to remember what, if it was Tencel and one other thing. But it's so, so, so beautiful. It's milled to perfection. It spins like butter. So I did get my little nano going, and you can see a picture of me in Sustainable there. And we're working on our wheels happily, and probably Krista's taking the picture. Yes. Meanwhile, let's get on to a strategy. Well, had a really interesting weekend in terms of strategy. And I kept learning and relearning the original lessons I learned with the original 8 CFRs. And that in itself was a gift. First off, I learned before the event, I literally was driving up the road that led to the hotel, and all I could think of was all my failures, how I had just done everything wrong. Nobody's going to like this. I made a mistake. And what I learned was when I got there, everything just fell into place because we had all prepared very well. And so it is kind of important to remember, leading up to an event that you create, all you are seeing are the fails. You're seeing the problems, the things that have to be solved, the challenges you must rise to. I remember this on my wedding day. I planned my own wedding, very small wedding. And I remember the same feeling that I got up the morning of my wedding. I want to say July 25th, 1992. I always forget my anniversary. I've got it on my calendar. I'm so bad about this. But I got up and I suddenly realized it is now over. All I have to do is get up, eat some breakfast, put on the big floofy white dress, and show up. And everything else is going to simply run. How did I forget that in 30 years? I pulled in the driveway of the hotel, and a wonderful thing happened. On my phone, it started playing a song by Yusuf, formerly Cat Stevens. He changed his name when he became Muslim. And the song is Welcome Home, or Welcome Home Again. And it's about essentially a traveler along the road, and he meets fairies who smile at him and point him in the right direction, and he comes to the city, which is his goal. And there are guards, and they're posed to attack any invaders, and they welcome him. And that was the perfect song. It was soothing, it was calming, but it was also about returning after absence. And instead of your fears, you are met with nothing but love and acceptance. Yep, that was it. Yep. And I heard that song, speaking of karmic, and I just suddenly understood that everything was okay. So the song is under something I really like. It's a link to YouTube, and you won't see a video. It'll just play the song. So you can play that song right from the show notes, but you should hear that song. That was eventually what I realized to be the theme of CFR 23 for me. I don't know what the rest of you are doing, but I was coming home again. Thank you so much, everybody, for that sensation. The other thing this made me realize, apart from the fact that you only see the bad till you arrive, and then you only see the good, and you need to accept that and be okay. The other strategy I would say is you really have to determine your own good times. You can't wait for the universe to bring good to you. You have to make the good happen. So it really does matter how you spend your time and with whom you spend your time. I always feel a little freakish. I'm a professional woman. I'm a little, intellectually gifted, let's be honest. And I always feel like a fish out of water. With my colleagues, with my patients, I always feel like I'm weird and I'm different. You know who I felt at home with? I felt at home 9 times now with the people of the Cognitive Fiber Retreat. Why? Because the things that matter most about me are the things I have in common with them. And I think this is the first year that it really hit me. Now, we're all wildly different people. I've always defined myself by my profession. I probably shouldn't. What do I have in common with these people? They're kind, they're open-hearted, they're creative, they're giving, and they're crafty, and they want to share that with you. And together we're all preserving these wonderful skills. That's a pretty nice thing to have in common. To put it simply, I was honored to be able to draw these people together and to sit among them as an equal. It was a terrific honor. So what I want you to get as a strategy is, if you're sitting around waiting for the good to happen to you, probably not a good idea. Instead, you probably need to look at how you are planning your happiness. You do actually need to lay it out. Now, within that, everybody says, well, but that's not very spontaneous. What about the spontaneity factor in happiness? Let me explain to you. I had so much spontaneous happiness, things I didn't expect this weekend, which I'll talk about a bit in the blather, that you have to set it up to happen. These things don't happen accidentally. Many years ago, a good friend of mine from high school rejected me in college and finally showed up about the time I was going to graduate, and so was she. And I just didn't say anything to her because I really loved her and I really missed her, and I knew she was angry at me, but I couldn't figure out why. And she said, here's what you don't know. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. And my mouth dropped open. And she said, I hated you. I hated you because I needed drugs and alcohol to get through my world. And she said, you're in high school with me. Both our families are trashed, which was true. And she said, instead of falling apart and getting addicted, you get all these scholarships and you go to college and then you get another one to go to Europe. And she said, I hated you. The things that broke me, you just seemed to glide through them like there was no effort. And of course, I'm like choking, going, no, that was all compensation. That I knew I didn't have a really good family to fall back on. So I fell back on my brains. And she looked at me and she said, you know how I changed? And I said, no, but I can't wait to find out. She said, her AA sponsor, she told her AA sponsor one time how much she hated me. And the sponsor ripped her a new one. Sponsor said, don't you understand how hard your friend has been working to keep it all under control? Don't you understand that she's doing what you're supposed to do with 12 steps? She's coping by using her success, by focusing her skills. And then she said to my friend, your friend has been working her, ass off the whole time you've known her, and you're angry at her for that. How unfair is that? And then my friend looked at me and she apologized. And I was so surprised because it had never occurred to me, frankly, that I was doing that. And I'm so grateful to her for giving me that insight. But the really important thing there for me was my happiness was coming. And my friend taught me this because I kept working to make my happiness come. That when things were not good in my family, I invested myself in my schoolwork until I repaired a lot of the family problems. And when I was at college and I felt sort of alienated, I worked my buns off and I wrote a lot of scholarship applications, and hooray, one of them worked. I don't really know where younger me learned all this, probably from my father and my best childhood friend. But apparently younger Gemma knew something, which is you make your own happiness. Now, there will be spontaneous happiness as a part of that, but spontaneous happiness to a certain level isn't. At a certain level, you have to be working towards it. You have to be setting things up so that good things can happen to you. It's not an accident. You're going to have to work on it. Now, when you're depressed, that's the last thing you want to hear. But that's actually a form of hope. When you're depressed and everything feels lousy, you can actually set things up so that the dominoes fall in a good pattern for you. You simply don't know when it'll fall and how. So part of your job is to plan your happiness. I mean, literally, we have a calendar on the wall, a whiteboard one, between my living room and dining room. And I write the good things that are coming up on it. Because you have to be able to look at it and say, when I feel depressed, I can see the good things that are coming. You have to create your happiness as much as you can. You have to regulate how you are spending your time and with whom you are spending your time. And this matters for your overall happiness. Happiness is only a passive thing when you are a very young person. As you get older, you're going to have to develop the skill of planning and building your happiness. And the really great news, there I was thinking that my happiness would begin on Saturday morning when we all were standing in the courtyard and I was handing out gifts and letting people introduce themselves. My happiness began in the car when I heard Yusuf singing Welcome Home Again. That was my spontaneous thing that became the theme. But you have to set things up so that you can succeed. Something I really like. Well, I skipped fluffy books because I'm not reading anything, but I will point out, on Netflix, I started watching Blue Eye Samurai. It's pretty grim. It's pretty gory. Parts of it are highly predictable. The animation is sensational. The voice cast is second to none. Really, really good. It's by a husband-wife team It's really very American, despite the fact it looks like it's trying to pass as anime. It's very good. It is gory, gory, gory. It is very sexually graphic. I mean, you get to see body parts, you get to see sex. It's very, very realistic and interesting. I have to admit, when I got to later episodes, I just kept fast forwarding through the fight scenes because I really don't care that much to watch blow by blow fighting. But I think if you're into that, if you like watching martial arts for animation, it's pretty amazing. So that would be Blue Eye Samurai, but it's not for the kids, and I'm not sure I'm going to list it under my fluffy books in a family-friendly podcast. Okay, now I can say something I really like. What else? CFR 23. Thank you, everybody, for just a fabulous weekend. And there is the link to the song so you can hear our theme song. Put a lid on it. Ooh, I have a good one for you this week. Plum Deluxe Smooth Sailing Mango Black Tea. I got to sample this stuff. This does not take milk. You just want to sweeten this. It'll really make the mango flavor jump out at you. The aroma on this smells like hot mango. It is second to none. This is an absolute winner. And I can't recommend it warmly enough. You don't need milk for this one, which is nice. It's always good to have a dark tea around that you can drink when you've run out of heavy cream. This is the one. Milk would just be an abomination with it. Well, maybe not, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't cream it or milk it. Oh, this is so good. This is Smooth Sailing Mango Black from Plum Deluxe. This came as a sample pack. I hope they're manufacturing this full-time all year round because this is a good one. You want to try this. This is fabulous if you like the flavor of mango. And I got to tell you, the fragrance is amazing. You can see the ingredients there. I put the envelope there, and it is just simply amazing stuff. 5 stars. The blather, well, progressing through things, pretty much everything is on pause while I was trying to get through CFR 23. That hasn't changed this week. I'm really tired. I'm really, really tired. It took me, as you can tell, till Thursday night to record this instead of recording it Sunday. But the only real news, Queenie got a mild ear infection, and she also saw her vet and got her shots. Everybody fell in love with her. Queenie is simply a goddess. She loves everybody, every human she meets. She fell all over the vet. The vet couldn't get enough of her. We had a great chat about collie personalities and local collies, because in a town like this in Southern California, the vet's going to know every rough collie in town. So Queenie just loved on anybody she could get near. She totally ignored them when they gave her shots through that massive coat of hers. She was an absolute star. Captain is Captain, our big, lovable Doofy Noofy. We just adore her. I haven't been doing anything else. I really just took a break on everything. Green fingers, all I'm doing is mulching now. I'm just laying down, would you believe this, tea leaves. So let's get on to the Cognitive Fiber Retreat 23. As I say in the notes, it was everything. There's a picture of me grinning like a jackal with a car full of stuff that I took. There's people sitting outside the room where the vendors were. That was the Valencia conference room, which was much smaller, really, than I realized it would be. So we're all outside there. I thought that patio would never work. Actually worked really well. A little bit hard, people yelling down the line, but we had that in previous CFRs when we met in the hallways. The weather was perfect. 70-ish, sunny, everything could not have gone better. So you can see us set up there. If you go down, let me see, I get there Friday night, and you can see our first dinner Friday. It's the third picture in. We're all at a long table, and you can see a Diet Coke that is mine at the head of the table. So I get to the courtyard in Valencia, and I walk in, and I think it was Ariane was the first person I saw, and I just said, okay, we hug everybody. That's the mood. And I'm setting the mood. I'm the leader. I'm setting the mood. So hugging everybody. Loretta, 1031, shows up. We really have not seen each other in close to 6 years. It was amazing to see her. As she kept saying in a certain amount of wonder, it's like we never separated. It's like we just took up where we left off. I am proud to say that's because I'm a college professor, at least on my side. On her side, it's because she's Loretta and she's wonderful. On my side, I'm a college professor, and you get used to that kind of relationship where you don't see your colleagues who you love for many moons. At any rate, so a group of us ended up going over to the next door hotel, the Embassy Suites. Interesting thing, I was a bit bitter because they did a bait and switch on me. I really wanted to hold it at the Embassy Suites. I am so glad I did not. Their lobby area was chaotic. It's right by the pool. We were able to get bar snacks and drinks. They only had one person running the thing. Took quite a long time, but we were all too tired to go into town and dig up food. And the courtyard was slightly outside of town. It would have taken about 10 or 15 minutes of driving to get to anything, and nobody wanted to. So we all had bar snacks. I believe I had chicken wings. They were perfectly good. But that lobby was chaotic, and the hotel was just a little dirty. I was really surprised. A few people reported that they were over there, and the hallways and the external parts were dirty. The rooms were okay, but the lobby was too chaotic. We would never have had the good, peaceful retreat we had. So it turns out, wonderful gift. The other wonderful gift, the courtyard was great. I didn't see that coming. I had toured it on a rainy day, and it looked very dark and unwelcoming. Wrong. At the courtyard where we did the retreat, we had a huge lobby that fit just about everybody. We all ended up working there. The lobby staff were thrilled to have us. Why? It was a weekend and we weren't drunk. The trip over Friday night to the Embassy Suites taught me something. Weekend groups are rowdy and hotels may not like them. I suddenly got a much more clear understanding of why the La Quinta in Tehachapi was so welcoming to us. Who would not want 50 to 60 quiet, mature people, mostly older women, who sit in chairs and knit together? As opposed to drinking and laying waste to the place or running around and playing silly games that damage the hotel. So that was an important lesson learned. The courtyard was great, and everybody seemed to agree that this was a good venue. They really want to work with us again. All right, so after we did the dinner, I went back to my room and I started stuffing goodie bags. And the Knitmores had not yet arrived, and I was perfectly ready to do it myself, except Stacy, Jedi Mom, Ariane, Suzanne, alias Shazam. I want to make sure I get everybody. And eventually Loretta, and eventually the Knitmores showed up. And so the goodie bags were stuffed amid much merriment. The Knitmores and I sat there catching up till at about 11:15, Jasmine looked at me and my head must have been just sort of tilting at odd angles because she said, "You probably want to go to bed, don't you?" And I said, So I went to bed after packing everything against the front door that was going to have to go downstairs to the meeting the next day. The next morning I got up and there was a big line in the lobby and a Starbucks in the lobby. And I said, no. I just said, I need to wake up. And so I was so tired. I don't know. Well, I was tired because the week before was exhausting. And I got like 8 hours of sleep, but it didn't matter. So I get up, I get in my car. Peachy's supposed to meet me at my room at 8. 7 o'clock, I go running out of the building after bathing and dressing, fortunately. I go to a Starbucks. Now, I know this area like the back of my hand. We were about 2 blocks from my office. I got lost. I set my Starbucks to the wrong place, and I wandered until I said, I've got to stop. And I ended up in a Target parking lot, which was perfect. It's what I needed. They had a Starbucks, and while they made my egg bites and tea, I went and grabbed some heavy cream because I had brought tea with me, Lady Grey, of course, and my octopus mug. And I was going to have my special tea. I was ready for this. I go back to the room. I probably lost Peachy somewhere. Anyway, I get help, and all the stuff gets down to the courtyard area. The vendors are happy they're setting up. There was nobody in the place. We could have set up the night before, except I wasn't sure we could lock the room. Important lesson learned. They could have started at 6 in the morning if they wanted to. So we'll know that for next year, and I'll be talking to the hotel people about that. There was a sign on the door, on the event room, from like 4 days previously. So yeah, okay, that was welcoming. I just laughed because it meant we have this room to ourselves. There was another wedding in the building, but they weren't using our conference room. Nobody was. It was perfect. Alrighty, so the vendors got in there. They got set up. And that was wonderful. And I went out to the patio area, and you can see the setup in that second picture where people were all getting ready. And in the middle on the right, there's a column and there's a table with a white bag. That's where I did my shtick, did all my announcements. And we went around. Yeah, it's true. I forgot to have some of the people introduce themselves till I was reminded, but that's what we count on. I was tired. I'm not going to get everything right. The attendees were super duper. So we went around. I was pleased to see we had two younger people, two older children, I guess I would say. One was 11. I'm not sure about the age of the other one. It was great. It's really nice to see the younger generation show up, and it's even nicer to give them raffle prizes. I had to laugh. The thing I got wrong, I did not think we'd have, I thought we were going to have maybe 2 Mother Bear donations. No, a lot of people had bears. I was so happy about that. It felt wrong that we did not just collect them and send them off. And next year, that's a goal, to collect mother bears and actually send them with the money. I have to tell you, this year we broke about even by the time I was finished. I may have 1 or 2 things to contribute to next year, like we probably have some leftover name tags. Not enough, but we have some. We have a lot of raffle tickets. I don't have to buy them again. We have an easel with sticky notes. I don't have to buy that again. And it also does whiteboards. I don't have to buy the whiteboard pens. I don't have to buy more blank cards or pens for writing the name tags. I mean, a lot of things I had to buy fresh. I shouldn't have to again. So that's really good news. But we about broke even this year, I have to admit. There will be, I think I have 1 or 2 skeins that I will donate next year from this one that I won't get to and would best be donated as raffle prizes. Next year, I'm hoping to do better. Next year, I'm also hoping to roll the price back a little bit. We'll see what deal I can cut with the Courtyard. I have not yet contacted them, but they've been in touch with me saying, how did it go? Okay, so there we are. We're all out there. And after we did that, Jasmine did her steeking class. She went so out on a limb for this class. She brought her own sewing machine. She brought fabric that she could use to have people cut and steek. I mean, it was awesome. She wants to do a revision of it next year. That's what she's saying right now. Jasmine's very reliable and consistent. But I am going to say, let's wait a year before we stick to that. We'll see, how everybody's doing on it. She had a great response. When I went up to her suite, it was jammed with people. You can see in picture number 4 there's our Jedi Mom. Is that Jedi Mom? No, that's not. That might be Krista, actually. I'm trying to think who that is, if that's Krista. Anyway, she's standing in front. I'm sorry, it's been 4 days and I've forgotten you. I'm an idiot. Anyway, she's standing in front of a table that is loaded with Oink Pigments Show Colorway Lavender Haze. Beautiful much? I think so. Our vendors were terrific. We only had 3 in the end because we lost Alpet Glow to illness, and I regret it, but I have to tell you, the 3 we had were fantastic. They got along. They settled in nicely. They all had their specializations. They all had some interesting stuff. If I have any regret, I think it was that I misunderstood what Lisa Souza could bring. I saw her as bringing sweaters, worth, and heavy yarns. She saw herself as bringing really exotic. I think everybody was happy. She made good sales. So that's all I care about. Oink apparently did really well. She was extremely happy. I think Laser Sheep did pretty well. They all want to come back next year. So, okay. Please, again, anybody who you want to come next year, make sure they're reading the information thread on Ravelry. All right, so where are we at? Oh, yeah. So everybody did the steeking class, then they went and they did the vendors. I walk into my bedroom and lightning hit me. Now, you may remember my story, A Dog Named Lightning, in which I say lightning hits us all. We don't see it coming. Sometimes it kills you. That's the last lightning that hits you. But sometimes it's actually good for you. You don't know it. That's the kind I got. I got hit by lightning. I wasn't expecting it, and it really, really threw me. I was supposed to teach my mindfulness class, I think at 11:30, and I couldn't. I had to manage something for a couple hours, and it would have been impossible not to, and that was the lightning. And at first I thought, I don't know I can't tell you what it was, and I apologize for being mysterious, but it was a very personal thing, and it was partly a professional thing for me, and I just said, I have to manage this. I have to somehow integrate this and go back to my retreat. So I went sort of staggering out, and everybody said lovingly, "Where have you been?" And I said, "Lightning hit me." I said, I had to handle something. And everybody was great. So we all went out to lunch. Is there a picture of the lunch? I can't even think. Oh yeah, we went to Lazy Dog, and I don't have a picture there. I had a great picture. To see if I can, I think Izzy sent it to me. I have to see if I can find it and put it in the show notes. It was a really great one. We went to Lazy Dog. Believe it or not, I had one of their small plates, and it was just deviled eggs fried. They call them crispy hard-boiled eggs with a little bit of salad. Wow, oh wow. Talk about the perfect keto lunch. Yeah, the breading, not so much, but there wasn't very much of it. But it was a great lunch, and that little tiny plate filled me up. I love Lazy Dog because they can do tricks like that. It was absolutely delicious. So anyway, I had this wonderful lunch, and during the lunch, I think there was a really wonderful part where Loretta was telling us what's been going on with her in the last 6 years. And we ended up remembering our friend Tyson, who was not with us. He's not a knitter, but he's a friend of the knitters. And Izzy and Tyson and Loretta, it was just a marvelous discussion. And if you're listening, thank you so much. Part of it was how much we admire Tyson. And I have to say how much I admire Loretta and Izzy, just saying. But that's the beauty of CFR. You're with people you just love and honor. Okay, meanwhile, all the OC Fiberistas are wearing these adorable little bags. They're made out of 4 big blocks, granny squares of crochet. 2 solid squares around the middle, and then the other 2 squares are folded like triangles to make the edge of this roughly triangular bag. Lovely hardware, and then a strap also crocheted. The bag was lined, had a zipper, all done by hand. So pretty. They all had the color coordinating with their clothes. It was so remarkable. Everybody noticed this. When the OC Fiberistas came in, they're all wearing these bags. It was so funny and so cute. Well, this is the work of Carmen, one of the OC Fiberistas. Here's where it gets wonderful. Carmen will make them for anyone and just give them to you because she said, there is not enough happiness in the world and people are cynical. They believe other people only want to hurt them. So she just makes these bags and she gives them to people. No cost. Because she wants people to know that people do good things for no reason. They just do them. They're spontaneous good in the world. When she explained this to me, I remember standing there and thinking, if I tilt my head back, she won't see that my eyes are misting up. Because I thought, this is what happened with the goodie bags that I wrote to 75 different vendors on Etsy. Almost all of them wrote back and said, you are a scammer, aren't you? And I sent them a new letter and said, no, I'm not. And I sent them all the links and everything that I should have sent them in the first place. And I saved the good letter. And I said, what's hard to believe is I want to preserve our indie vendors. So I want to promote you. And if you want to send me your business cards, that's all I need. If you want to send me anything else, coupons, anything, all that's good. Well, they responded with so much generosity that we had this fabulous raffle with their stuff and with the yarns from our vendors that were their cost of admission to be vendors. It was sensational. Okay, so of course, Carmen's walking around saying, I'll just make you one. Here's my number. Phone me. I'll make you one. You know I was pathetic, right? You know I got those big puppy eyes. I made my big eyes turn green and bleary and puppy dog looking and followed Carmen around, hopefully. So yeah, she gave me one. So, I'm trying to think if she gave it to me Saturday afternoon. It looks like it's Saturday afternoon because I'm wearing the shawl I made from the Oink Pigments Sparkle Sock yarn. Anyway, she just walks up and said, this one is for you. Of course, yes, it was because I was wearing red. And she gave me one that perfectly coordinated with what I was wearing. It is next to me on the floor here. I love it. This is the single best bag I may have ever owned. Why? Because it fits across your shoulder, just up under your chest. It's not a long-armed handle. And so you can wear it across the front of you, slung across you. It is just big enough to hold your credit cards, your wallet, your phone. It is so perfect. The lining is beautiful. And to my horror, she told me it was all hand done. Really, girlfriend, I'm not worthy. So you can see me hugging Carmen. holding my beautiful red granny square purse that I simply adore. And yes, that is a scarf, a triangular scarf made from an Oink Pigments yarn. The next one is us all sitting in the lobby, and it doesn't portray the lobby. The lobby is much deeper. That picture should continue to your left, back all the way to the windows facing the patio area by the pool. Tremendous area. Everybody seemed to agree that the venue was great. What we weren't expecting really was a bar. Now we had one, but they closed it early. But there was a bar next door at the Embassy Suites. You could just walk over. We weren't expecting bar snacks, Starbucks in the morning, and breakfast. You could eat right there. Boy, did this win. This was what we wanted. Little did I know. The conference room was a little bit dark, apparently. I don't know. I had no problem because I was in there at the morning hours. But in the afternoon, the sun's going to swing across the building, and the conference room was probably dark for the vendors. So we're going to ask them next year if we can get more lights in there or if our vendors can bring their own lights. Wow. So after lunch at Lazy Dog, we went back and I led the mindfulness group. I did about the worst job I think I've ever done on something like this. Nobody cared. We were all happy. I just did my shtick about biologically why you should meditate. We did a 3-minute meditation. I sat there the whole time emptying my mind, aware that I had described it really badly. I opened my eyes when, I think it was Peachy was timing it with her phone. We only did 3 minutes. I opened my eyes. I was about to start apologizing for how badly I'd done it. Everybody's looking at me, dazed and mellow with big, happy smiles. I was like, okay, never mind. This is good. So then I think the afternoon was kind of a bit of a free-for-all after that. I'd like to tell you what I did, but I can't remember. I think I was running around talking to vendors and just generally seeing that things were moving okay. We decided at dinner time to go to a place called The Stand. Not all of us went. Oh, some people ordered pizza in, and that apparently became a bit of a saga with the pizza guy getting lost, according to Loretta. But a big group of us went over to The Stand, which is supposed to be a burger joint. You walk in, order, and then sit down, which is really good for a group like ours. You can see a picture of the line as we all stand there at the stand, and then you can see there's really 2 tables in a row there, going way back, of all of us sitting there munching. To my surprise, I got an ahi salad that was exquisite. It was just lightly seared. Why this was at a burger joint, I could not tell you. It was really, really good. Okay, so I came back to the hotel, and the pizza crew was still working on their pizza. And I sit down in the lobby, and I start crocheting. I look up, everybody's crocheting the same thing. Everybody was doing the Abbas sock yarn cow, which made me so happy. So eventually I started passing out. I think it was about 10 o'clock, and I went back to my bedroom and I packed Saturday night, which fortunately I did because I had a huge heap of cartons and empty things. And I gave one big Tupperware thing to Jasmine to take the yarn back because there was a lot of yarn on the yarn trading table, which I haven't even talked about. We had a yarn trading table in the conference room. It was very funny because I put my ball winder there and somebody unhooked it from the table and threw it on the table thinking it was a donation. So I grabbed my ball winder and I hid it. And I believe Oink brought a scale. Yeah, one of the embarrassing things, I can't for the life of me remember Oink or Laser Sheep's names. I just keep calling them Oink or Laser Sheep. I know I have their names somewhere. Ladies, thank you for your patience. You know, when I get to a CFR, I have room for like no more data. I'm just going to say. Okay, so I slept like the dead that night, woke up still tired, got up, loaded the car, which was great, and we all went off to breakfast. Before I tell you about that, if you're going down the pictures, you will see, after the dinner at the stand picture, you will see a group picture of myself and left to right, it's Peachy, Jin, me, Smidgen, Jin the younger, Dr. Smidge, and Cynthia. And this is a kind of wonderful thing among us. Peachy and Smidge always take a picture with me at the end of CFR, and we've done it every year. And those pictures are pretty amazing when you see how we've changed over the years. For one thing, we've all become more beautiful and distinguished, and we've also develop children and marriages and everything else. And we've added Cynthia to our crew. She was at the Last Stitches in Pasadena, and that's where I met her, and she's so cool. And so, by the way, Smidge and Cynthia are two of the best color matchers. If you need to match mini skeins to make a project, you hunt them down. So there we all are. We're actually at Eggs and Things where we went Sunday morning. But before I get to that, below that, you will see my bag packing elves. And there's Brenda, who I forgot. Good stuff. She designed the cowl that went with the Dizzy Blonde Studio colorway. So there we all are. And if you look at it from left to right, it's Ariane. And then Suzanne is standing at the back. And Loretta is next to her. She's a little more in the front of the first picture, but it's still Loretta. Stacy, Jedi Mom, is standing up, walking like an Egyptian in the second picture. And Brenda's sitting down, turning towards us in the second picture. Those were my goodie bag elves. Mwah, mwah. You can see Loretta holding up a goodie bag. So the first one I just took it. The second one they complained, so I posed. I let them pose. Okay, and below that you will see the pictures of the crew. First one is in the afternoon, everybody just spinning out on the patio by the pool. Second one is the line to sign up on Saturday morning. Sign up, get their name tags, get their goodie bags. There's no real sign up beyond that. But there's our line of wunderbar people. Oh, I do have a picture. Okay, if you go below that, you can see me. I'm holding up a skein of yarn. I think Drew Caitlin won that. And this is just what it looks like while I'm doing that part, while I'm emceeing. I'm wearing my beautiful sweater with the llamas. The yarn, the pink yarn is Lisa Souza. The rest is a combination of things, not represented at CFR. And after that picture, you can see us sitting at Lazy Dog. That's, let's see, from the left you see half of Loretta's face, Izzy leaning in. I do believe that's Brenda at the end. Good stuff. Then me. And I'm just too tired. Krista's closest to us, and I cannot think of her name there. Oh, darn it. Anyway, there we all are, having a good meal at Lazy Dog. I'm sorry. I should know all the names, but I don't. Below that, you see a picture. It's me and Peachy, and we're working on distributing goodie bags. I believe that's probably the afternoon raffle for the goodie bags to get rid of the leftovers. You can see I'm wearing a me-made skirt there, one of my cotton skirts with leggings under it. I'm also wearing hand-knitted socks by Laser Sheep, but you can't really see them. And I'm wearing my wonderful cardi that I crocheted last year. And I'm wearing the cowl from Oink. And then you can see, there it is, the picture by, I believe it says Marianne. And there's all the stuff in the goodie bag. Fantastic goodie bag, if I do say so myself. Last but not least, we have our own Stacy, Jedi Mom, holding an unbelievable armload of fibers. She jokes that when she finishes spinning it, we'll be able to see her from space. But she apparently went insane with the fibers at Oink and Lisa Souza, and I could not be happier. So let me go back in my narrative a little bit. Sunday morning we got up. The event was over. But I said, hey, anybody want to go to Eggs and Things? And I probably have a picture of that I should dig up and include here. And they said, yeah, and we did a head count. We got like 16 people. So I go to Eggs and Things. I call them. They say, no, you can't reserve. No problem. It's only 16 of us. We'll work it out. We get there. Okay, I think about 30 of us showed up because husbands and children came, parents and parents-in-law. It was a fabulous breakfast. We worked out the details for CFR next year in as much as we can. Some really good suggestions. If you want to see them, go to the post for the CFR 2024, CFR 10 information thread on our group on Ravelry. If you want to recruit your friends, please direct them to that thread. All the information about how to sign up and how to pay will be there. My guess is I'm going to start taking sign-ups since it's September 28th. I will probably start taking sign-ups around July 1st. Okay, in the meantime, I have to call the hotel back. I have to talk to Ethan. He emailed me. I have to write to him. I have to see if he can give us September 28th. I have to make sure the vendors know it's September 28th. I think they do, but I'm going to be very careful with that. So that is the amazing story of CFR 2023. I have some regrets. There were people there I wanted to meet. Anne stands out. Anne M. You know who you are. Like, I realized there were people I wanted to meet and spend more time with than I did. I attribute that to getting hit by lightning. That I really spent a lot of time kind of pulling my legs back under me. The being hit by lightning, I have to tell you, was one of the best things that has happened to me in years. And I am so grateful for it, but it is too personal to both myself and anyone else involved, so I don't really feel like I can discuss it freely here. But I am sorry, because it did take away a chunk of my time Saturday. That's my regret, but I am insanely grateful that what happened happened. I cannot tell you how wonderful CFR 23 was for me because of it. So thank you for your patience. And everybody, send your ideas over to that thread on Ravelry. The link is in the show notes, and it's time to start thinking about 2024. And I'm at the very base level of let's get the venue, let's get the vendors, let's see if we're all sorted out. Oh, baby. I am still tired. I was just brain dead. After I left the Eggs and Things, Loretta and I sat for hours at Eggs and Things after everybody else left until they asked us to leave. We sat drinking coffee, she sat eating buttered bread. I can't do that. But I had a Diet Coke, and we just sat there and caught up, and that was amazing. After that, I went over to Yarnopolis meeting, but I was too dazed. I have no idea what we talked about, except Cheryl was there, and she was really boosting CFR, and that was wonderful. So we'll see. We'll see if any of them join us next year, but okay, they're primarily crocheters, so that was nice. They would have enjoyed our crochet along, but we'll see, but I'm not going to worry about it. It was a wonderful time. Sadly, 2 of the Yarnopoly people came. None of the Saturday Stitchers came. And I don't think they had the greatest time because they came late. They came at like 11-ish. So they missed a lot of the fun, and I was a little sad about that. But hopefully we'll get them back next year. Let's get onto the calendar, shall we? Thanksgiving, I have off from November 23rd through November 6th. So anybody who's local who wants to go out for a cup of tea or meet up in any way, I'm available. The Evolution of Psychotherapy Conference, currently I'm booked to be there December 12th through 17th. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going down on the 14th in the afternoon. I think I'm going to see my Thursday morning patients and then catch a train down and be there in the evening. And so I will start on Friday and Saturday for my live hours. We'll see. I'm still thinking that one through because I do have the room reserved from the 12th. We'll see. Romule, I am off December 23rd through January 1st. Again, both Evolution and Romule. If you want to meet up with me, message me through Ravelry. I would love to meet up with you. But I do have a lot of time off coming up, which is blowing my mind because I'm really tired. I haven't had time off really since January 1st. Yarnopoly and the Second Saturday Stitchers are the local Santa Clarita groups. They tend to meet up on the second Saturday of each month. They both have groups on Facebook if you want to join up with them. Finally, CFR 10, CFR 2024, will be at the Courtyard by Marriott in Valencia, same place as far as we know. This is currently unconfirmed. I'll be working on it. It will be on September 28th, 2024, wherever we put it. The vendors so far, if everything works out, we've got the same vendors. And that's it. Minerva gets the last word. I wish I didn't have that loop of a bag hanging down in that picture, but there is Minerva in my lap. And what Minerva is saying is, whew, she came home. Minerva just jumped in my lap Sunday afternoon, and she's been there ever since. She has developed the other funny habit. She's figured out that every hour when I'm seeing patients, every hour I get up and go to the bathroom. So at 10 minutes of the hour, Minerva comes over and jumps in my lap, and I'm beginning to realize she knows what she's doing. That she's gotten used to this, so she interrupts me to tell me it's time to get up, hang up on my patient, and go to the restroom. So there is my darling in my lap, and you can see I have that kind of crazed, tired, happy look that you get after a CFR. Welcome home. We have CFR back, and as far as I'm concerned, we're going to continue it as long as I have the steam to do it. I cannot thank everybody enough. I cannot thank all the listeners who've been supportive while I tell these stories, even though they know they can't attend, the people who donated to the goodie bags, the incredible vendors, the people who attended, and the people who had my back throughout it all. It was a wonderful experience. I am so pleased and so privileged to be able to do this with all of you. Welcome back. Welcome home to CFR. Everybody, stay safe. Take care of each other. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Saw a sign on the path, all seekers this way. A fairy sat and laughed and threw a petal my way. As I neared the bridge, two soldiers stood and stared. No one passes by us, but hey, you're welcome here. Carried on down the road to the marketplace. I was still alone, and no one knew my face. Then a stranger sang, voice like the wind. Then the hills began to sing. Welcome in. Time rolls on. Ain't no good to sit and moan. Time rolls on. And so we travel on. Never did I imagine what a dawn could be, till I opened my eyes to see. It was welcoming me. At the end of my days, on my way home, I paused a while to gaze upon the sacred stone. There it stood in the middle of the holy domain. Then the people came out to say, welcome home again. Time rolls on, and so we carry on. Time rolls on. Ain't no good to sit and moan. Time rolls on, and so we travel on.